You are watching Access LaPorte County Channel 97. Coming up next is the February 4th meeting of the Michigan City Common Council. You can find more information for this meeting at www.accesslaportecounty.org.
Good evening and welcome to the City of Michigan City Common Council meeting. Today is Tuesday, February 4th, 2025. We will start off with call to order by Council President, and if you would all please silence your cell phones, electronic devices, and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance and a silence of prayer.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, on the roll call, please.
Mr. Beatrice? Mr. Coulter?
Here.
Mr. Dabney?
Here.
Dr. Cora?
Present.
Ms. Lee? Ms. Moldenhauer?
Present.
Mr. Nelson?
Present.
Mr. Presbolinski? And Ms. Tillman?
Present. And for those that is not in attendance, I was properly notified by Mr. Beardry, Ms. Lee, and Mr. Presbolinski of their absence on tonight. Next, we have approval of the minutes for the regular council hybrid Zoom January 21st, 2025. May I entertain a motion to
Move
approve?
Second.
There was a motion by Dr. Cora and a second by Councilman Nelson. All those in favor,
Aye.
if can acknowledge by aye.
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 Are those anyone that oppose? There are none. Motion carries. Reports of standing committees. The Finance Committee meeting. The City of Michigan City Finance Committee met on February 4th, 2025 regarding claims docket Riverboat Fund number 2235 in the amount of $95,288.51. Riverboat EFT Fund 2235, $487,377.62. Total claims, $582,666.13. Fund 2235, those were for the LaPorte Chrysler Inc., LaPorte County Project, and Reith and Riley Construction Inc. And Riverboat Fund 2235, that claim was for ESG. And again, totaling claims for $582,666.13. Is there a motion to accept
So moved.
the claims docket?
Support.
There's a motion by Councilman Dabney and a second by Councilman Coulter. All those in favor of approving the claims for February 4th, 2025 by acknowledgement of aye. Aye. Any opposed? There are none. Motion carries. Claims are approved. Also for the City of Michigan City 2025 Riverboat Fund Statement of Cash Position. Fund 2235 Riverboat ending balance $493,323.31. Fund 2236 Rainy Day Fund ending balance $1,848,763.71 with a grand total of $2,342,087.02. Moving on to reports from boards and commissions. Are there any reports from boards and commissions? There are none. Reports of special or select committees? Are there any reports of special or select committees? There are none. Reports from the mayor or other city officers and departments? If you would please state your name and your department.
Good evening, Daryl Garbacik, Superintendent of Central Maintenance. And tonight I am here to share with the council and the public our winter emergency storm plan. And the presentation will be up there. Last year, towards the end of January, after Winter Storm Indigo, Mayor Angie called the city team together for a debriefing session and requested that we have a plan and to create a plan. After several meetings, no less than a dozen, this is what we have come up with. On the cover page that was just up there, I did want to point out down at the bottom, all that small type says that it is a not a public document. And basically that's because there are some cell phone numbers and things like that. It's not because we don't want to share this plan, but it's a strategic plan for the city. So that's why that disclaimer is there. Tonight, we'll run through an abbreviated version of it. And this is a living document subject to changes and adjustments as necessary. Next slide. And this is indicating that the city of Michigan City does have a severe emergency team to determine the level, and we'll talk about that level, of the weather emergency and the necessary response, and it identifies the actions that will be taken. Next slide. What we call our SWET team, the Severe Weather Emergency Team, consists of the mayor, chief of police, a future director of public works, and the street director who will serve as the snow removal coordinator. I mentioned these levels, and the SWET team coordinates in advance of a winter weather event to determine the response, and we'll see that in the upcoming slide. The snow removal coordinator contacts respective departments as necessary, and this plan follows city ordinances as well as state and federal regulations. Next slide. And that is our communications flow chart. We did take out the cell phone numbers to protect the innocent, I suppose, to some degree. But again, that's why basically it's not a public document. But the SWET team alerts of a potential winter weather event, determines and implements an appropriate response level. The snow removal coordinator, which is the street director, Sean Smith, he is here tonight as well, contacts the individual departments to activate the plan and the level determined, and then the individual departments organize their troops, and away we go. Next slide, please. This is really the meat and potatoes of it. We do have the warming centers listed on the left, but we'll note that there are 4 levels, with the first one basically being conditions that the street department can handle. Level 2 would be 6+ inches of snow or freezing ice, and again, it outlines the departments and the response that may be necessary. When we get to level 3, that's what we call all hands on deck. A blizzard's coming, an ice storm is coming, severe weather that's going to nail us is coming. And that's where everybody, well, most everybody as far as the city departments, will be assigned to respective areas. And then finally, level 4 is the aftermath of that, when we need to remove snow, get it off the intersections and alongside the road and that sort of thing. So we've outlined that as well. Next slide. There are 8 primary routes identified throughout the city. Each route has a map similar to this. We won't take you all through each map, but just know for each route identified on that response sheet, the level sheet, there is a corresponding map. Next slide. And then this outlines our city resources, the who and the what. Also, that's where, I guess, the central maintenance department plays a role. We coordinate with all the departments to make sure that the trucks and the equipment is not only ready to go, but in advance of winter weather storms. This is the council's snow removal ordinance. Next slide. And the next slide. And then finally, this is a recent road transfer agreement between Michigan City and LaPorte County. And it outlines the particulars of that. In closing, I'll mention that this is just phase 1 of emergency weather planning. It will segue into other events, tornadoes, or 120 mile per hour straight line winds from a supercell that the city has experienced years ago, heat index, etc. With that, I'll also mention that we are 44 days until spring, and I'd be glad to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Kovacic. Are there any questions from the council?
I know a question. Comment.
Councilman
No question.
Dabney?
No question.
It's a comment.
Yeah, just a comment. I'm glad to see this plan has come up. We got caught off guard last year. I mean, we were scrambling when that big snow hit us, and I mean, I fielded a million phone calls. I'm trying to call, the smaller trucks that can get into dead end streets and so forth. So this is great that you guys put this together in order to coordinate our responses to these storms and everything like that. So, I really applaud what's been done here. So I hope we don't have to put that into play this year, knock on something. But, I'm really happy that we have this plan out there and we're ready to go.
Thank you, Councilman Dabney. Are there any more reports from the mayor or officers and departments?
Mayor Taylor, Fire Chief. I just have our monthly data for this past month of January. We have a new system, so it's a little bit of a different breakdown. I'm sorry that you guys did not get that email to you. I'm going to take care of that with Amanda here when we're done. But our monthly calls for month of January of 2025, we had 8 fires, 313 medical calls, 8 hazardous conditions, which were non-fire, different types of things that were not actual fires, 12 service calls, 30 good intent, and 21 false alarms or false calls. Like I said, we got a different graph here, so once you guys get this, you'll be able to see just exactly how they break down. But I don't have my glasses right now because I forgot them in my office and I can't read that. But I'll get that to Amanda and she can get it to you, which is total calls of 396 for the month of January. And I don't have a comparison. Like I said, we switched over to a different system, so I don't have the comparison right now of what it is for last year compared to this year. And we don't have Narcans on here yet, but I'll get that for next time and we'll be able to catch up.
Okay.
Any questions?
Any questions from the
Other than that,
council?
I don't have anything. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Taylor.
Good evening, Council President and council members. Marty Corley, Michigan City Police Department, Chief of Police. Give you our January statistics for our department. Starting off with our department stats, total calls for service were 3,522. It's 184 more than we had in December. Total reports taken were 386, which are 41 more than in December. Total arrests were 207. Total juveniles arrested were 19, and total adults arrested were 188. Total shots fired calls were 27, which was 9 more than December. I always like to point out the shots fired calls. These are some legit, some of still that we get in advance. Just to give you a comparison, back in 2022, early 2023, we were averaging probably 50 to 60 shots fired calls of actually legitimate people calling from their house phones. These are things that we're getting due to our Raven system, so the numbers are still down. Total firearm seized were 3, which is 4 less than December. Speeding tickets, 149. Out of those, 13 were citations, 136 were warnings. Total warrants issued, 124. 98 warrants were served, 8 warrants were recalled. A total of 106 warrants were cleared for the month of January 2025. Case reports involving Flock were 34. 2 of them involved stolen vehicles, with 1 vehicle recovered. 6 were Raven notifications. 1 resulted in a person arrested. 13 were driving offenses. 4 were thefts. 1 was fraud investigations. 4 were warrant arrests. 1 was a robbery investigation, and 4 were accident reports, with 2 of them being hit and runs. Police social worker Jocelyn Colburn had 48 total referrals for the month of January 2025. 45 resulted in contacts. Out of those referral sources, 6 of them were due to reports. 25 came from the patrol division. 10 or self-referrals. 2 were outside agencies, and 5 were outreach. The types of referrals were 8 were for suicidal ideation and attempts. 20 were mental health. 5 were substance abuse or overdose. 2 were wellness checks. 4 was juvenile issues with runaways. 1 was abuse, neglect, and 2 were homelessness, unstable housing. 3 were aging elderly. 1 was protective order. 1 was autism, and 2 were deaf. And then the type of resources provided, 5 were recovery supports. 3 were community mental health agencies. 7 were emergency department or hospital. 3 were housing agency. 5 were shelters, and 5 were other, which resulted with cooperation with or working together with Victims Advocate, Adult Protective Services, Family Advocates, HealthLink, or the MERT team. Any questions on the report?
I have one question. How you doing, sir?
Good, sir.
In reference to the speeding tickets, do you have some areas that's more prone than others? And the reason I ask that is because I get a lot of calls in reference to the park area or down Willard. People like running the stop signs and things like that.
No, we don't have. I would have to break it down. I'm sure I can find a breakdown for you, but yeah, I know it's all good. Actually, somebody else does it, so don't make a difference. But no, just for that. No, but I could get a breakdown and let you know next meeting. Yeah, no problem.
Are there any other comments by the council?
Then I have one more comment.
Yes.
Also. Also just want to announce our 2024 Chris Smith Award winner is Corporal Aaron Bass. If you all have never heard about the Chris Smith Award, it was created back in 2008. 2007, Chris Smith was employed with the Michigan City Police Department. One of his lifelong dreams, was always to be a police officer, but he battled cancer. So he's with us about a year before he passed away. So after him passing, the Chris Smith Award was made or presented to the department to recognize officers that embody, law enforcement, the passion to be a law enforcement officer, but then also the passion to have life. So for the years since 2008, we've always awarded Chris Smith Award to one of our officers. Again, they're nominated by either their supervisor or fellow officer, and then as a command staff, we come together and pick the winner. So Corporal Aaron Bass is our winner. He will be awarded the award on February the 11th, next Wednesday, correct? No, sorry. Yeah, next Wednesday is the 11th.
Tuesday.
Oh, so the 12th, next Wednesday at the Michigan City Police Commission meeting. He'll be presented the award along with Renee Smith, the widow of Chris Smith, will be present. For the last couple of years, she's been present to help present the award to the winner. So feel free to come out. That meeting's at 11 a.m. at the Michigan City Police Department. Any questions?
No, I would just like to add, congratulations to Corporal Aaron Bass, of being this year's recipient of the Chris Smith Award.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Corley.
Good evening, Council President, Council members, and Clerk.
Good evening, Mayor.
A couple of updates. We have several things on your agenda this evening that I'm going to go ahead and speak to in my report. I'm not sure, though, if we were able to get the additional resolution to you in reference to the House bill.
Yes.
Okay, good. So there are several items that are things that are occurring downstate, as you all know, that impact us financially. I do want to give an update on House Bill 1448. That is the gaming bill about the money that is owed to Michigan City due to the missed calculations for the lost revenue. So I did meet with Representative Slager, who is the author of the bill, last week, and this week our team, our attorney, and our controllers met with the state comptroller's office as well to discuss scenarios and basically what I expressed to them. You know, my first priority is to get the full amount as soon as possible. But I do understand the process and what they're trying to do to secure, to make sure that it's memorialized in a House bill. There may be some amendments that come up. I have not had any conversations with the other two cities, with Gary or East Chicago. I know our lobbyists may have had some conversations, but I told them the first priority for me is Michigan City. That our administration and the city council did our due diligence in cutting our budget last year, and what I shared with the comptroller's office is I want to make sure that those cities did the same. If they need to go back and did they cut their budgets? Did they do those things? I don't feel like our taxpayers or us, we should be compromised in any way. I shared with them our decline in our riverboat for the last couple of years in the workshop that we did in July. I shared with them also our rainy day fund. I shared with them that we did not give out any raises this year. I shared all of the things that we have done diligently to be fiscally responsible here in Michigan City, and that we want all of our money now, if possible. But I understand that conversations are being had and being made. I'll be in Indianapolis tomorrow for a few meetings as well. So more to come. There could be amendments. I plan to be down there next week and the following week. So basically all amendments have to be completed in this week, next week, and the following week. So it's important that we keep our finger on it so that we make sure we get something, whether it's all or something each year for the next couple of years. It's up in the air, but I think those conversations will still be had. The other bill is really Senate Bill 1. That's really around property taxes. It's a lot to unpack in that bill. But again, hopefully you all are receiving your AIM updates and that you're reading those. I met with Matt Greller for lunch last week and kind of talked through some of the things that I had questions about and issues with, because I think it's important that we as a city try to protect the money that we have already and figuring that out. I know our school systems are doing the same with some resolutions that they passed. But I think we need to keep our foot on the gas as well. The other bill that was removed from the docket or from the hearing, but still could come back with amendments. That's why I thought it was important that you keep it on the agenda. Is moving from a second to third class city. Over the last week, I've been getting data and information. The Tourism Bureau has been great in providing information. They now have embarked on a data software program that we were looking at, and so they were able to do that for us. I'll tell you, so last year in 2024, we had over 13.5 million visitors in Michigan City, 2.5 million unique visitors that visited on average 5 times during the course of the year. That's a lot of people in our city for our size. So even though our population may be as such, we are providing services for all those people who are here in our city. Also note, we have over 400 Airbnbs that were in the data that was provided to me. And we're talking over 140,000 listed nights of Airbnbs in Michigan City. That is a lot. So we're not serving and protecting just our residents, we're serving and protecting all of the people who are here in our city throughout the course of the year. And at the height of those months, 1.6 million in July, and on the low end, we're talking 850,000 in January visitors. So we're not a city of just 32,000 people. We're a city that thrives specifically starting in May through the months of Black Friday. That's a month, right? So I just want to make sure that the public understands, this data is important in making sure that, we know we're growing as a city, but we also know that we bust out of the seams at different parts of the year. So that information is important. What else is on the agenda? There is a resolution from the Planning and Inspection Department. I know I have David Albers, who is here. We've talked about the reorganization of the Planning Department. Yesterday, the Board of Works, we approved a 3-month contract. David has a background in construction management, and on your agenda, I know we have a building superintendent, but in the meantime, I need someone boots on the ground now to help establish that department. And he has the expertise to help us do that, to get the building inspectors hired, to help create those standard operating procedures. And so I've enlisted his help to do that for the next 3 months. And so that's what that resolution is for, to take it out of the salary line item into contractual services. That's what that is for 3 months. And no additional money would be needed, but it's coming directly out of the budget. And then I'm hoping that you could support doing second and third reading for those positions, because we need to get the permit specialist person hired sooner than later. And I would appreciate if you were able to do that on this evening as well. And I think that is all that I have for now. I'll provide you an update, hopefully in 2 weeks on what has happened downstate with some of these bills that impact us directly. So, the wheel tax. The workshop has been set for March the 14th. I'm looking for a date that Representative Jim Prussell could be there. He confirmed that he can be there. He welcomes any questions. So we thought, since he's the author of that bill on road funding, that we would have him come and answer any questions. So that just was sent out today, but that's March 14th at 5 p.m. I know the chamber dinner is at 6, but that's the date that works. So we should have that conversation, because the wheel tax, it's important that, there's some parameters that impact cities around CCMG. that you need to have something in place. So we want to make sure that we're ahead of it. The goal is to pass something if we're going to pass it by August so that we're going to effect next year. I know the city of LaPorte has had theirs since about 2016 or 2017. What's interesting, I think a lot of the gaming riverboat cities are the ones that didn't pass them because they would just use the riverboat money. Well, that's starting to dry up, so we need to find other sources to make sure that we continue to do paving at the $1 million or more, match. So we have that coming up as well. I'll entertain any questions that you all might have.
Ms. Mullenhour.
Yeah, Mayor Angie, I just want to acknowledge you for being extremely proactive and going down to state as many times as you are every week. From the bottom of my heart, just thank you so very much for having our residents and also our departments foremost in your mind and heart. Thank you.
Any other comments from the council? Your microphone about to go.
I'm sorry. I just want to echo what Councilwoman Moldenauer said. There's a lot going on at the State House. It's unbelievable. Now you're talking about all these things. I have been following the healthcare related legislation. It's a lot going on right now. Thank you.
And also, before I forget, I just want to acknowledge our employees. We've been doing lunches with several of the different employee groups. I know we've had refuse. I know next week I have something here at City Hall. We've done the zoo, the park, just sitting down listening to some of their comments and thoughts, some of their concerns. I think it's been enlightening, but also important for them to see me and to be able to have direct conversations with me. I think it's important. So February 13th is our first town hall. Doors will be open at 5. The departments are going to have tables set up throughout the EOC on the lower level so that residents can come and speak to them before we start the town hall. But I think it's important this year that we really hear from residents and what their concerns are. We're looking, everything right now we're looking at is around refuse and garbage and dumping. And some of the just deliberate things that people are doing around dumping, knowing that they're going to get cited and not caring. I've been looking at a couple of programs on, and shout out to Christine Vandenberg. We talked about a reward program, and I found, I think, a good one that we can model. So to get residents involved in reporting dumping. I think it's going to be important. We want a clean city and we can't tolerate it. But at this point, waiting 10 days after citing someone to be able to pick it up is not the best solution. So there will be some ordinance changes that I'm going to be asking for. I'm working with the attorneys right now to figure out how to shorten that time window to a 3-day window. If somebody's dumping stuff out there, that we can go pick it up, sign them, pick them up, pick it up, do whatever we need to do. But right now, they figure nothing's going to happen. They're just going to put a lien on my property and, whatever, the next person to deal with it. So we're trying to wrap our hands around it so that this won't continue to escalate the way it has. So I forgot about that. Anything?
Councilman Debbie?
Yeah, you went through the number of Airbnbs. What was the number that we have on the register?
So we're working on that. So
40.
So
yeah.
we only have about 200 and some 200, low 200s registered. But what we're finding is there might be up to 400, maybe 25 that are actually in the city. So we're working through that data now to figure out which ones aren't registered, and they will be fined.
Thank you.
Because per day, there was a fine per day. And you can go out there and see how many times people have left reviews and all of that. So Airbnb, VRBO, we're coming. If you haven't registered, you need to get registered. Mhm. Any other questions?
That's all from the council. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Madam Mayor. Sorry. Next on the agenda, Madam Clerk, are there any petitions?
There are no petitions.
Madam Clerk, if, any communications?
Correspondence was received in the clerk's office on January 16th, 2025 from Mayor Angie regarding the supplemental monies owed by state to Michigan City. Correspondence was received in the clerk's office on January 21st, 2025 from the Indiana Department of Environmental Management regarding the renewal of Part 70 operating permit. Correspondence was received in the clerk's office on January 21st, 2025 from Mayor Angie regarding the 2025-1 Michigan City CCMG pavement replacement project street list. In accordance with Ordinance 4538, the clerk's office received the following incident report from the Michigan City Police Department on January 24th, 2025, regarding an accident that took place on January 20th, 2025. Correspondence was received in the clerk's office on January 29th, 2025 from the Indiana Department of Environmental Management regarding the revocation of an existing permit.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Madam Clerk, resolution, read our first resolution.
A resolution by title only determining that funding for certain outstanding 2024 purchase orders should be encumbered and authorizing the city controller to encumber such funds. This is introduced by Ms. Tillman.
So we were all provided with the resolution in regards for the encumbrance, and this is expenses that was approved in the 2024 budget or prior to, and we are seeking, or I'm seeking the request of the council to approve said motion. Are there any comments from the public? Any comments from the public? Are there any comments from the public? There are none. Are there any comments from the council? Any?
Crazy question. Is this just giving the controller control over making the purchases and things?
No, these were purchases that it is, but these were purchases that was already approved in the 2024 budget from last year that will be getting paid in 2025.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And just another quick comment on that, and Tracy explained that very well, Madam President explained that very well, was just to make sure that we don't spend that money in the 2025 budget. We just encumber it, put it off to the side. That's all we're doing, is making sure we don't use those funds. But like I said, the president explained that very well, but I think we do this every year. We have these encumbrances that lay over, and we have to make sure we, tie that money up again, put it off to the side so we don't spend it, and we're not able to pay those POs that are purchase orders that are already out there.
Motion to approve.
Support.
We have a motion by Dr. Cora and a second by Councilman Coulter. Madam Clerk, on the vote?
Mr. Coulter,
Aye.
Mr. Dabney,
Aye.
Dr. Cora,
Aye.
Ms. Moldenhauer,
Aye.
Mr. Nelson,
Aye.
Ms. Tillman,
Aye.
6 in favor, 0 opposed.
That motion carries. Madam Clerk, on the next resolution?
A resolution by title only, a resolution increasing and decreasing certain appropriation within the budget of the Planning and Inspection Department of the General Fund 1101 for the year 2025 in Michigan City, Indiana, and this is introduced by Ms. Tillman.
And again, in regards to this resolution, this is just decreasing from account 1101.106.411.013, salary and wages of $21,250 to increase account 1101.106.439.090 to other contractual services to $21,250. Are there any comments open up for the public regarding this resolution? Any comments by the public? Any comments by the public? There are none. Public comments are closed. Any comments by the council?
Motion to support.
We have a motion by Mr. Coulter and 1 second by Dr. Cora. Madam Clerk, on the vote, please.
Mr. Dabney,
Aye.
Dr. Cora,
Aye.
Ms. Moldenhauer,
Aye.
Mr. Nelson,
Aye.
Ms. Tillman,
Aye.
Mr. Coulter,
Aye.
6 in favor, 0 opposed. A resolution by title only opposing any state legislative effort in the 2025 legislative session that would reduce Michigan City's status from a second-class city to a third-class city. And this is introduced by Ms. Tillman, Mr. Prespolinski, Ms. Lee, Dr. Cora, Ms. Moldenhauer, Mr. Dabney, and Mr. Coulter.
Would any of the sponsors beginning in regards to this resolution? We, the council, will be reading the resolution out loud, beginning with Councilman Dabney.
Sorry, I just had to take that cough drop out of my mouth and lay it on the table. And the 5-second rule is not obviously going to apply, but I'm going to put that back in my mouth here. So here we go. The title was read by the assistant clerk early here, and I'm just going to start. Whereas Michigan City is currently a second-class city, and whereas Senator Michael Bohachek recently authored Senate Bill number 436, which is attached here to and incorporated herein as Exhibit A, which sought to automatically convert a second-class city to a third-class city if 2 federal decennial censuses show a second-class city as having a population under 31,500 people. A copy of Senate Bill number 436 is attached here to and incorporated here in as Exhibit A, and whereas despite the local impact of Senate Bill number 436, Senator Bohachek did not consult with the mayor or any members of the Michigan City Common Council regarding how this bill could impact the city and whether said elected officials were in favor of this bill before the enactment of the same. And whereas, to the best of the city's knowledge, Senator Bohachek has recently withdrawn this bill. However, in the event this bill is refiled or amended, or an amended version of the bill resurfaces in this 2025 legislative session, the city strongly disapproves of reducing Michigan City from a second-class city to a third-class city for many reasons, included but not limited to the following. Number 1, local officials are in the best position to know their needs. The local elected officials are in the best position to know their internal financial needs and the details and specifications of these needs. They are also in the best position to know the short-term and long-term goals of the city, what services the residents need, and the economic development needs of the city. For example, in 2024, when the new administration took office, it was immediately discovered that the city needed to make considerable cuts in the 2025 budget. The mayor and the city controller hosted a series of workshops with the Common Council. With the 2025 budget, the mayor and the Common Council reduced the prior year's budget by $6 million. Also, Indiana law, as currently written, provides a mechanism for the local elected officials to adopt an ordinance modifying their status as second or third class city, depending on any increase or decrease in population. See IC 46-4-1-1 and IC 36-4-1-1. Thus, if the city believed it to be in the best interest to reduce the city to a third-class city, a means already exists for the city to do so.
Councilman Nelson? If not, okay, I will take on. Okay, Councilman Devon.
Number 2, loss of administrative efficiency. As a second-class city, we currently have an elected city clerk whose main responsibility is to manage the city records and record keeping, and an appointed city controller whose main responsibility is to manage the city finances. By forcing the city to move to a third-class city, which uses a clerk-treasurer system, it would force financial responsibilities on the city clerk, who may lack the specification, education, and experience dealing with fiscal matters. A quick search on the internet reveals numerous examples throughout the state of Indiana of the financial consequences and losses a municipality endures when an elected clerk treasurer holds office and lacks the specialization, education, and experience dealing with fiscal matters.
3, reduction in representation. Second-class cities have a common council and a mayor, which allows for broader representation and input. Moving to a third-class status will result in reduced representation and will be less tailored to address the needs of the city and its diverse population. In addition to the population that resides in the city full-time, the city almost doubles in growth in the summer months with its seasonal residents who maintain second homes within our jurisdictional boundaries.
4. Economic development concerns. Second-class status often signals a higher level of development, infrastructure, and capacity to attract business and investment. Downgrading the city to a third-class status may give the perception that the city is shrinking, less dynamic, or not prepared to handle growth, discouraging investors, developers, and population growth. Michigan City does not to be seen in such inaccurate, false perception. We have several significant projects in the process that will provide the population and economic growth for the city, including but not limited to the following. Franklin Tower Project, 222 residential apartments. Sola Project, 900 condominiums and 160 hotel rooms. 5th Street Project, 500 residential apartments and a grocery store. Helix 33 Project, 275 residential apartments, workforce project. New housing TIF proposed, 160 residential units. Moore Road, 44 townhomes. Paz Road, 114 single-family homes. Development and redevelopment of the Michigan City prison site. Development and redevelopment due to closing of the NIPSCO cooling plant on the lakefront. At least 4,000 new jobs are anticipated in the New Carlisle, Indiana, at the Amazon and Samsung sites that will have a spillover effect to the city. The city has over $3 billion in capital investments in the past 6 years that will keep increasing, and within the last 3 years, the city has over $100 million private capital investment. 5. Cost and unnecessary time consumption downgrading the city. Changing the city's classification would involve legal, administrative, and logistical challenges for the city. The process of restructuring the government and modifying ordinances, procedures, city departments, and personnel would be costly and time-consuming without offering any significant benefit in return to the city. According to the explanation of the local expenditures on the fiscal impact statement prepared for Senate Bill 436, it acknowledges that the bill's provisions will result in a slight decrease in fiscal expenditures. In addition, Michigan City Common Council is already one of the lowest paid legislative bodies in the region. Currently, council members are paid $15,426.16 a year and receive no other benefits from the city to serve in this position. In addition, the salary of the city controller is set at $79,807.52, which is also low compared to other city controllers throughout the state.
Additional problems with version of proposed legislation that was withdrawn IC 36-4-1-1.2 currently reads, if a second-class city's population on the effective dates of the 2010 federal decennial census and 2020 federal decennial census is not more than 31,500, the city becomes a third-class city on January 1st of 2027. At the municipal election conducted in 2026, the number of members of the legislative body required by the laws applicable to the city's new third-class city status shall be elected. Until January 2027, the powers, duties, functions, and office of an elected official of the city remain unchanged, and the city shall be governed by the laws applicable to the second-class city status. There will be no municipal election in Michigan City conducted in 2026. The last general municipal election was conducted in November of 2023. The elected officers, the mayor, common council, and the city clerk, took office on January 1st, 2024. Each of their respective terms of office is 4 years, and thus their terms expire on December 31st, 2027. The proposed legislation, if adopted, would reduce Michigan City to a third-class city before the terms of the office of each of the second-class city officers are expired. Number 7, Michigan City has gained population since 1980 census. The 2020 census demonstrates that Michigan City has gained a population since 1980 census. Also, Michigan City reasonably believes that the census may not have been accurately counted due to the national pandemic of COVID-19 facing the nation at this time.
8, only a second-class cities can establish a Department of Sanitary. Under Indiana Code 36-9-25, only a second-class city can establish a Department of Sanitary. Third-class cities do not automatically have this option under the statute. The main benefit of a sanitary district is that it provides a structural local mechanism to manage and maintain essential public health services related to sanitation, such as wastewater treatment, sewage disposal, and stormwater management. This helps to protect the public health, environment, flood control, and ensures regulatory compliances and resource management. Michigan City has established a sanitary district. Whereas there was no consideration on the potential impact that legislative efforts to reduce Michigan City to a third-class city would have on the city, its governance, services, economic growth, and the city's long-term needs and goals. And whereas the Common Council, on behalf of the city and the residents herein, strongly opposing legislation to reduce Michigan City from a second-class city to a third class. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Michigan City, Indiana Common Council as follows. The aforementioned whereas sections are incorporated herein as it fully set forth herein. 2, the city opposes Senate Bill number 436 and any similar 2025 legislative efforts to reduce Michigan City from a second-class city to a third-class city. 3, the city clerk is directed to forward a copy of this resolution to the following: Senator Mike Bohachek, State Representative Pat Boyd, Senator Rodney Pohl, members of the Senate Local Government Committee, Senator James Buck, Senator Rick Niemeyer, Senator Vanita Becker, Senator Kevin Bowling, Senator Mike Bohachek, Senator Denise Cross, Senator James Thomas, Senator Rodney Pohl, Senator Michael Griffin, Senator Greg Taylor. E, Northwest Indiana Regional Planning Commissions, Michigan City Chamber of Commerce, Michigan City Economic Development Corporation. This resolution shall be in full force and effect after passage by the Michigan City Common Council and approval by the mayor. Are there any comments open to the public at this time?
Yes, this is Tommy Kolovic from 1316 Ohio Street. First, happy Black History Month, everybody, and happy birthday, Councilman Bryant Dabney. And I'm often reminded what Burl Bergwald always used to say, that even though Michigan City by statute is designated as a city of the second class, Michigan City will always be a first-class city.
Thank you, Mr. Kalavic. Any open to the public comment? Open to the public for comments. There are none. Open for council comments. Open for council comments. Dr. Cora?
Yeah, Madam President, I think we have all read the resolution. It's self-explanatory. And I think especially considering all the growth that is anticipated in the next couple of years, I think going backwards to a third-class city, it doesn't make any sense. I think there's so many new housing developments that are coming up. And as was mentioned in the mayor's report, besides the full-time residents, there are so many residents or individuals who like hundreds and thousands of people who come throughout the year and make Michigan City a place to live and also for recreation. So I think it's in the best interest of the city to stay as a second-class city. And I think by passing this resolution and forwarding it to all our legislators, I think we would be sending the right signal that the city is opposed to it. Thank you.
I'd like to entertain a motion at this time.
Motion to support.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
And we have a second by Mrs. Mollenauer, and that motion was made by Councilman Coulter. Madam Clerk, on the vote, please.
Mr. Dabney,
Aye.
Dr. Cora,
Aye.
Ms. Mollenhauer,
Aye.
Mr. Nelson,
Aye.
Ms. Tillman,
Aye.
and Mr. Coulter.
Aye.
6 in favor, 0 opposed.
Thank you. And the motion passes opposing any state legislative effort in the 2025 legislative session that would be reduced Michigan City status from a second-class city to a third-class city. Moving on down to our agenda, we are into our ordinances. Madam Clerk, on title only, on ordinance on second reading.
An ordinance on second reading by title only, amending ordinance 4741, commonly known as the 2025 salary ordinance, to create the position of an arborist apprentice. This is introduced by Dr. Cora and Ms. Mollenhauer.
Any comments by the sponsors?
Madam President, I think our arborist, Mr. Wolf, is coming here to make some comments as to why we needed this position and the grant that is going to support it.
Hello, Michael Wolf, City Forester. And yes, I'd like to just give you a little background on what this position is for. The Arborist Apprentice is a 3-year program that we take a student, so to speak, an apprentice, train them for 3 years. And then at the end of the 3-year period, they should have enough hours in on training and cover everything needed to acquire their ISA certification.
Okay. Are there any other comments from the sponsors at this time? Or any comments for Mr. Wolf, Ms. Mollenauer?
Yeah, I want to point out that the salary for this position is coming out of the $1 million grant that the department received for new trees and the associated expenses.
Exactly. Yes, it's 100% paid for by the grant.
Thank you, Mr. Councilman Dabney.
Yes, I would like to waive the rules and do second and third reading tonight on this ordinance.
Thank you, sir.
And that is a motion.
I'll second. There's a motion on the floor by Councilman Dabney and a second by Council Tillman. Madam Clerk.
Dr. Cora,
Aye.
Ms. Moldenhauer,
Aye.
Mr. Nelson.
Aye.
Ms. Tillman,
Aye.
Mr. Coulter,
Aye.
Mr. Dabney.
Aye.
6 in favor, 0 opposed.
Thank you, board.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, on third reading?
An ordinance on third reading by title only, amending ordinance number 4741, commonly known as a 2025 salary ordinance, to create the position of the arborist apprentice, introduced by Dr. Cora and Ms. Moldenhauer.
Are there any comments by the sponsor? There are none. Any comments open up to the public at this time? Are there any comments from the public? Are there any comments from the public? There are no comments from the public. Public comments are closed. Comments by the council.
I so move.
Second.
There's a motion by Ms. Moldenhauer. There's a second by Councilman Nelson. Madam Clerk, on the vote, please.
Ms. Moldenhauer,
Aye.
Mr. Nelson,
Aye.
Ms. Tillman,
Aye.
Mr. Coulter,
Aye.
Mr. Dabney,
Aye.
Dr. Cora.
Aye.
6 in favor, 0 opposed.
Thank you. This motion carries. Madam Clerk, on title only on ordinance on second reading.
An ordinance on second reading by title only, an ordinance establishing salaries for the fire department of the city of Michigan City for the calendar year 2025. This is introduced by Mr. Dabney, Ms. Tillman, and Mr. Prespolinski.
Are there any comments by the sponsors? Kim? There are no comments by the sponsors. We will open this up for public comment. Are there any public comments? Any public comments? There are none. Closing public comments. Any comments by the council?
Yep.
Any comments by the council? Councilman Dabney?
Yes, I'd like to waive the rules again and request second and third reading of this ordinance tonight.
We have a motion on the table to waive this, to have third reading on tonight, and we have a second by Dr. Cora. Madam Clerk, on the vote, please.
Mr. Nelson,
Aye.
Ms. Tillman,
Aye.
Mr. Coulter,
Aye.
Mr. Dabney,
Aye.
Dr. Cora,
Aye.
Ms. Moldenhauer.
Aye.
6 in favor, 0 opposed.
Madam carries. Madam Clerk, on title only on third reading.
An ordinance on third reading by title only, an ordinance establishing salaries for the fire department of the city of Michigan City for the calendar year 2025. This is introduced by Mr. Dabney, Ms. Tillman, and Mr. Prespolinski.
Are there any comments by the sponsors? There are none. I will open this up for public comment. Are there any public comments? Are there any public comments? There are none. Public comments are closed. Comments by the council. Councilman Dabney.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Dabney and a second by Councilman Nelson. Madam Clerk, on the vote, please.
Ms. Tillman,
Aye.
Mr. Coulter,
Aye.
Mr. Dabney,
Aye.
Dr. Cora,
Aye.
Ms. Moldenhauer,
Aye.
Mr. Nelson.
Aye.
6 in favor, 0 opposed.
On to our next ordinance. Madam Clerk, on title only, ordinance on second reading.
An ordinance on second reading by title only, amending ordinance number 4741, commonly known as a 2025 salary ordinance, to create the positions of the permit specialist and building superintendent in the Michigan City Planning and Inspections Department. And this is introduced by Mr. Beatry, Ms. Tillman, and Mr. Dabney.
Do the sponsors have any comments on their ordinance, on this ordinance at this time? I would just like to say that this matter was also addressed and brought to the council's attention and to the public by Mayor Angie this evening. I think that she conveyed and elaborated on this very thoroughly for the need of having the permit specialist and the building and superintendent for the planning and inspection department, and the urgency and the need of having this done. And again, this will be for approximately 3 months, if I'm correct. in regards to establishing that department. If there are no further comments by the sponsors, I will open this up for public comment. Are there any public comments to this ordinance? Are there any public comments to this ordinance? There are none. At this time, public comments are closed. Are there any comments by the council?
Yes, Madam President.
Dr. Cora?
Just to clarify, Mayor Angie said that these two positions were budgeted in a salary ordinance, but she wanted a 3-month instead of an employee, a contracted position for 3 months so that they can get started with the work and set things up. That way it'll give them the time to recruit the salary positions. I just wanted to clarify that for the
Yes,
sake of
that
the
is
public.
correct, Dr. Cora.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Councilman Dabney?
Yes, and with all that information, I would like to suspend the rules and do second and third reading of this ordinance tonight as well.
Second.
There's a motion to suspend the rule to have third reading on this ordinance and a second by Councilman Nelson. Madam Clerk, on the vote?
Mr. Coulter,
Aye.
Mr. Dabney,
Aye.
Dr. Cora,
Aye.
Ms. Moldenhauer,
Aye.
Mr. Nelson,
Aye.
Ms. Tillman,
Aye.
6 in favor, 0 opposed.
Motion carries. Madam Clerk, on title only on third reading.
An ordinance on third reading by title only, amending ordinance number 4741, commonly known as a 2025 salary ordinance, to create the positions of the permit specialist and building superintendent in the Michigan City Planning and Inspections Department. And this is introduced by Mr. Beatrice, Ms. Tillman, and Mr. Dabney.
Are there any comments from the sponsors at this time? Any comments by the council? There are none. I will open this up for public comment.
Good evening, Council. Scott Melland, 200 Kenwood Place. My public comments tonight were going to be in regards to this, but we're getting ahead of it. So I think I'll say what I was going to say then, now. As we know, our building department, planning department's had some issues. Mayor's working on it very diligently. Mr. Alberts, just so people know, was recently the project manager for the 11th Street station and is now going to come work for us. At the Board of Works, his resume was, he introduced what he has done. I think he's a fantastic pick for this position. I'm hopeful he stays on with the city after his 3-month term. I think he'll be a great person to get control of that department. So I just wanted to lend my support to this resolution or ordinance, whichever this is.
It's the ordinance.
Ordinance.
Third reading.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mallard. Public comments. Are there any public comments on this ordinance? There are none. Public comments by the council. Councilman Dabney?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Councilman Dabney. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second by Ms. Mollenauer, Councilwoman Mollenauer. Madam Clerk, on the vote, please.
Mr. Dabney,
Aye.
Dr. Cora,
Aye.
Ms. Mollenhauer,
Aye.
Mr. Nelson,
Aye.
Ms. Tillman,
Aye.
Mr. Coulter,
Aye.
6 in favor, 0 opposed.
Thank you. This motion carries. Madam Clerk, on title only on ordinance 2 on second reading.
An ordinance on second reading by title only, approving additional appropriation in the budget of the redevelopment fund for salaries and wages of the redevelopment director and redevelopment business manager, introduced by Mr. Beatrice, Ms. Tillman, and Mr. Dabney.
And for the record, this has been advertised in the Herald Dispatch January 22nd, 2025. And this is a formal public hearing and will be held today, February 4th, 2025. Are there any comments by the sponsors? Are there any comments by the sponsors? There are none. I would like to open this up for public comment. Are there any public comments? Are there any public comments for this ordinance? There are none. Closing public comments. Any comments from the council? Councilman Dabney.
Let's go ahead and wipe the slate clean. I want to suspend the rules and allow this ordinance to third reading tonight. That is a motion.
We have a motion on the table to suspend the rules for third reading on this ordinance. May I entertain a second?
Second.
We have a second by Councilman Coulter. And Madam Clerk on the vote.
Dr. Cora.
Aye.
Ms. Moldenhauer.
Aye.
Mr. Nelson.
Aye.
Ms. Tillman.
Aye.
Mr. Coulter.
Aye.
And Mr. Dabney.
Aye.
In favor, 0 opposed.
Motion carries. Thank you.
President,
Oh, I'm sorry.
that's okay. It might be extra, but I think we can just note for the record too that the public hearing was heard and concluded during public comment prior to Mr. Dabney's motion. So I just want to make a clear record that we did hold the public hearing, and
Yeah.
there was no opportunity for there was opportunity for comment and none made.
Thank you,
As you
Attorney Snow.
Yep.
Moving. Madam, I lost my train of thought.
I'm
My
sorry.
apologies.
My fault.
We need to vote on this on third reading.
Yes.
Madam Clerk.
I don't think we have a motion approved yet, though. We've got to go through.
We gotta go through the whole thing.
Oh.
Yep.
Is there a motion?
I make a,
And I'm gonna read it again and go through it all?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. An ordinance on third reading by title only. Approving additional appropriation of the budget of the redevelopment fund for the salaries and wages of the redevelopment director and redevelopment business manager. Introduced by Mr. Beatry, Ms. Tillman, and Mr. Deb.
Are there any comments from the sponsors? Any comments from the sponsors? There are none. I will open this up for public comments. Are there any public comments at this time? Any public comments? Any public comments? There are none. Any comments by the council? Councilman Dabney.
I just wanted to throw the attorney under the bus for a little bit of confusion in that, but thank you for the clarification.
Well and generously spoken, sir.
And I'd like to make a motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Councilman Dabney. May I entertain a second?
second.
We have a second by Dr. Core. Madam Clerk on the vote, please.
Ms. Moldenhauer.
Aye.
Mr. Nelson.
Aye.
Ms. Tillman.
Aye.
Mr. Coulter.
Aye.
Mr. Dabney.
Aye.
And Dr. Cora.
Aye.
6 in favor, 0 opposed.
Thank you, and this ordinance has been approved. Thank you. Madam Clerk, do we have any new business?
There is no new business.
Madam Clerk, on unfinished business?
Nominations. The council has one appointment to the Michigan City Tree Board representing a neighborhood association. Incumbent Laura Henderson representing the Elston Grove Neighborhood Association. Her term expires February 15th of 2025.
Councilman?
Go ahead.
Councilwoman Moldenhauer?
I make a motion that we nominate Laura Henderson to the Michigan City Tree Board. No, I'm jumping the gun.
I would like to open up nominations.
I'm sorry.
No problem. I would like to open the nominations for the Michigan City Tree Board. Nominations are open.
I would like to make a nomination to reappoint Laura Henderson to the Michigan City Tree Board.
Support.
We have a nomination by Ms. Moldenhauer for Laura Henderson, and we have a second by Councilman Dabney.
Madam President, I have a question.
Yes.
I'm under the impression that she might need a letter from the community association for that.
We haven't turned it in yet.
Okay.
And
So we should be able to move forward. That is pending for that to be turned into the clerk's office, but they are, Madam Clerk is acknowledging that it will be forthcoming.
Yeah, as soon as we get the letter.
yes, in the Elston Grove meeting notes, I know they were writing a letter for it.
Good. Okay.
Yes.
Since we have no other, are there any other nominations?
I just want one comment, Madam President. I serve as a liaison to the tree board, and she is very active on the tree board and has been a very good member of the tree board. So I strongly support it.
Are there any other nominations? If there are none, nominations are closed. Due to that, we have one nomination. Can we just do a unanimous vote for all those in favor? Attorney Snow?
Yes, I think you can do that. You're acknowledging. I think the prerequisite is that letter.
Mhm.
So if we're acknowledging, several members of the council have indicated that letter is forthcoming. So I think you're okay at this point, having stated previously that we're accepting nominations and only having received one.
Okay. Thank you, Attorney Snow. Madam Clerk, well, due to that, we only have one nomination. We will do a unanimous. All those in favor of Laura Henderson to be appointed to the City Tree Board, acknowledgement by aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? There are none. Motion carries. Congratulations to Laura Henderson. You are officially appointed back to the Michigan City Tree Board. Madam Clerk, on the next nomination.
The council has two appointments to the revolving loan fund committee. Incumbents are Pia Perry and Eric Miller. Terms expired October 18th, 2024. The applications were received from Sherry Wilson, Scott Medlin, and Shauna Hill.
I would like to open the nominations. And we have, again, Sherry Wilson, Scott Medlin, and Shauna Hill. We will do these individually by name.
Madam President, I have a question. My question is, for these positions, they need to have certain requirements. Do we know if they have met those requirements, all three of them?
I think there was a request last city council meeting. I don't.
That is correct, Mr. Nelson and Dr. Cora. That was addressed during our prior council meeting, and we were anticipating if some type of credentials of some sort, but other than the requirement just states an application. But based off of their information or other boards or prior and current experiences and knowledge to hold these positions, the only thing that is actually required, unless we amend boards and commissions requirements to say that they have to submit supporting documentations for those things, but based off of everything else, they meets all requirements at this time. So going back to the nominations, we will do this by name. Please indicate the person that you would like to nominate when your name is called by Madam Clerk. Starting with
one. Should we nominate one or two, each one of us?
Are we? Nope, they did not provide.
Sorry?
And let me read it so everybody can hear. I thought we were talking about the qualifications. Number one, we had a senior level loan professional, loan officer, and then one member from business or retail who was a resident of Michigan City. And we had to question, did one of these applications received, did the person qualify as a senior level professional loan officer is what we were talking about. And did we get ruling, or did they flip that back into the council's lap to ask us if we feel that somebody qualifies as a senior level professional loan officer?
Yeah, I think that when you're looking at the code, and when you're looking at any, I guess, set of statutory code or code of ordinances, unless you have a definition within that section of code, the phrase senior level professional loan officer, I think, is it's the legislation that the council's using to operate. So I think that the council's interpretation of that term is what would control here. And then in the event that there was some kind of a challenge, I guess then you would have a judicial interpretation of it. But in terms of a senior level professional loan officer, I think that's the description you get. So it doesn't say, for example, senior level professional loan officer in a federally licensed mortgage corporation of X amount of size or X amount of employees. It doesn't really give a lot more detail other than that. So I think that as much as I would like to help more, I think it's kind of incumbent on the council to decide what fits in that definition. And then, obviously in the event of a challenge, I don't think it would be any of us making that decision at that point.
Madam President, I have a question.
Cora?
Yeah, I have a question for attorney. If we do not have a senior level professional loan officer, can this council waive that requirement and then pick two otherwise qualified individuals?
I would say on that point that your ordinance says 3 members shall be appointed by the Common Council. 1 member must be a senior level professional loan officer. 1 shall be from the manufacturing or commercial industry, and 1 from the business or retail industry, who is a resident of the city or has a business located in the city. Using words like must and shall, to me, says that this is, again, an ordinance that governs the procedure, and it is not intended to be flexible. So when you see that language in a code, I think that you would have to probably go through the process of amending the ordinance in order to change that. I don't think it's just something you can waive.
That is okay.
Madam President, may I suggest that we table this? That way we can get the proper processes in place before we appoint, because we do not have anybody with that qualification right now.
We have 1, possibly 2. So,
apologize.
Well, so in regards to the council, Madam, I'm sorry. What's that? Explain. I just have one last question before that was a recommendation, but not a motion. There is no motion on the table at this moment. This is to Attorney Snow. When it indicates the senior level professional loan officer, that's all it conveys, correct? It does not say prior, past, current. Just the experience or equivalent to, or anything of that nature. If I'm not mistaken, it doesn't. It just says senior level professional loan officer.
No, and unfortunately, I'm looking at the ordinance in front of me, and I just navigated away from it. But no, it says senior level professional loan officer.
Okay.
And that's what I was saying originally. It doesn't, for example, qualify that by saying you have to be that position in a multinational corporation of a certain size. It doesn't really define what senior level means. It doesn't necessarily define what a loan officer means. I think when somebody drafted that ordinance, they probably had an idea in their mind of what that meant, and they figured that other people would understand. And that's a problem that you run into occasionally with legislation, but it doesn't, as far as I can see, it doesn't give you any clarity.
Then at this time, I would like to entertain a motion to table this to get corporate counsel interpretation, and or if it needs to be amended to be specific.
Motion to table.
We have a motion to table. Is there a second?
Support.
We have a second by Councilman Coulter. Madam Clerk, on the vote, please.
Mr. Nelson,
No.
Ms. Tillman,
Nay.
Mr. Coulter,
Aye.
Mr. Dabney,
Aye.
Dr. Cora,
Aye.
Ms. Moldenhauer.
Aye.
So 4 in favor and 2 is opposed.
And after the second discussion,
Councilman
in one of our, I'm sorry to talk before you recognize me, Madam President, but with this, our second discussion going on and consecutive meetings here, we need to get in and talk to the court, like you mentioned, with the city attorney, so they can come together and either clarify language or and get this thing on the right footing so we can move forward on this rather than continue to push this thing out.
Okay. Next, we are open to comments from the public. If you would please state your name and your address, and please, all public comments are 3 minutes. And welcome.
Yes. Good evening. This is Tommy Kolovic from 1316 Ohio Street again. First of all, continuing Michigan City's fine tradition of champions, I want to congratulate the Michigan City Marquette girls basketball team. About a half hour ago, they won their sectional opener over the host Bowman Academy, 55-33. They'll be moving on to take on really good Westville Blackhawk team on Friday in the championship. And Saturday, they'll probably play Morgan Township High School, the Cherokees, in the championship game. That happens to be the Morgan Township High School's attorney Nicholas Snow's alma mater.
Very nice. You've done your homework, Tom.
Oh yeah, I've read your website. Very impressive. I want to make a public service announcement. This is probably one of my favorite events we have all year in Michigan City. It's the Jerry Carson's Athletic Scholarship annual chili cook-off, 21st annual. I know a lot of you older councilors remember Jerry Carson's. He was a very well-known, highly respected Indiana High School athletic basketball associate official. Pioneering in the field. It's the 21st annual Carson's Club Challenge Chili Cook-Off, Saturday, February 22nd, 2025. The location this year is going to be at the DAV, Post 23, Danny Bruce chapter at 2301 Ohio Street, Michigan City, Indiana. The time is going to be 12 noon to 3 p.m. Tickets will be sold for a $5 donation. Tickets available at the door. Please join us for the fun. Vote for your favorite chili, and chili heads welcome. I've been to this every year. The chilies are just great. There must be all the different clubs and organizations. They're all cooking their chili, and it's just probably the best event you would ever want to go to. I encourage everybody to come out for that. I also want to say that I know you're going to be having your workshop about this drug recovery unit that's going to be going in across on Wabash Nan Street across from the old St. Anthony Hospital. I really strongly encourage that to go. And I know for years before the St. Anthony Hospital was still in existence, they had the drug rehab unit on the 7th floor of the hospital. And, St. Anthony's closed, that was gone. We've had group homes like this. They're basically going to be a group drug rehab respite home for men. It's very high. I know they have those in Valpo. We need those social services here, get these people's lives straightened around. I'm really happy about that. It's in my neighborhood. I've complained about that all that property that St. Anthony has, it needs to be redeveloped and repurposed. We're not going to leave that with a greenfield site for the rest of our lives. I don't want to be used as a construction yard forever. I'm really encouraged that to go through, and I just want to say thank you and good night.
Thank you, Mr. Kolovic.
Good evening, board. Scott Mellon, 200 Kenwood Place. I'm the only person concerning the revolving loan fund. I'm the only person that's come up here and given my resume, if you will. You know, I've been speaking out now for a little over a year and a half, and we might not always agree, but I think most people agree that I have a good head on my shoulders and I have a good spirit about. We might not always agree, but I try to be a constructive voice here. And again, I forgot to mention, I in fact have been a loan officer in the past. But my private business, Black Pearl Group LLC, makes private loans. I hold mortgages for people. Again, by definition, I am a senior loan officer lending my own money. The risk is not any higher. And these positions have been empty since the middle of October. We're pushing 5 months. It brings the question, what Mr. Dabney brought up last meeting is, why do we even have this fund if it's not going to be utilized? Now, I'm offering my services in good faith, and I kind of don't understand why there's so much consternation about it. It kind of feels personal to me, and I could be taking this the wrong way. But I really, think you should take a gander. I believe you'll nominate Sherry, and she and I have spoken, and I think we agree we'll work well together. So I understand you have concerns, legal concerns, but as counsel said, there's just a sentence, senior loan officer. There's no definition to what that is. I typically don't screw things up. You could probably take a chance on me, and I typically watch other people's money as hard or harder than my own. I'm not here to waste anybody's money. When money's lent, I expect it to be paid back with interest, typically. Anyway, I just felt I needed to say that. The thing very briefly, I'll finish that. We have some unelected officials in this town that have frankly been making some boneheaded decisions, in my opinion, and other people's decisions. You are elected officials, and you're kind of the oversight for this. Specifically, I'm referring to a decision recently by the BZA, the Zoning Appeals Board. A really bad decision was recently made. I don't need to name names, but a project that was the city planner, the city department was in the affirmative. The neighborhood was for it. The developer's done good work in our city in the past. Was going above and beyond. I guess I'm out of time. But we have people making bad decisions. These unelected officials making bureaucratic decisions that drives people mad about government, that they don't seem to have a voice when it's unelected officials making decisions. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Public comment?
So I'm back, but with a different hat on. Just wanted to. I'm sorry, Marty Corley. I guess who are you? 218 Gladys Street. I'm a citizen right now. I just wanted to announce the Michigan City Black History Month Committee, our calendar for Black History Month. We started out on the 1st with our kickoff brunch. Well received, good time. And I just want to give out some other dates, some other activities we have. So Black Cinema Nights this year will once again be at the Michigan City Police Department in the community room. The last 3 Thursdays of the month, which the first one will be February 13th. The movie will be Red Tails. Then Thursday, February 20th, the movie will be The 688. And on Thursday, February 27th, the movies will be Black Patriots, Buffalo Soldiers, and The Distant Shore, African Americans of D-Day. The movies will be played from 5:30 to 7:30, and you can use the Cleveland Ave entrance to the police department to get into the community room. Also on February 15th, we'll do an Essence Rare Black Expo and pop-up. That'll be at the Lighthouse Mall. Shout out to Lighthouse Mall for giving us a space every year to do the pop-up. Again, that'll be from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. It'll be in store number 319, which is next door to Tommy Hilfiger. Also, the Joyful Gospel Fest will be February 16th from 4 to 6 p.m. It'll be at the Pleasant Hill Missionary Baptist Church site at 717 East 10th Street. And the Black History Month Quiz Bowl and Buddingpreneur, Careerpreneur Pop-Up will be Saturday, February 22nd, 2025 at the Michigan City YMCA. If you look at our pamphlet, it gives the address of Hope. Unfortunately, I missed that before I got it to the printers, but it's actually at the Michigan City YMCA, which is, I think it's 1202 Spring Street, if I'm not mistaken. That'll be from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. And if anybody wants to have a team, we actually have registration going on. If you go to the Michigan City Black History Month Committee Facebook page, we have a QR code where you can register your team. There are monetary prizes given out to the winners too. The Express Yourself Talent Show will be Sunday, February 23rd from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. at the Holcraft Performing Arts Center, which is the old Elston Auditorium at 1200 Spring Street. And we'll end the month with the Black History Month Gala and with the theme of Black Love. It'll be February 28th. That's a Friday. And that location has been changed. It's at the DAV on Ohio Street. That'll be from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. Tickets are $25 a piece, and that includes dinner. And then to end up, I would just like to give a quick shout out to our sponsors. Every year, everything that we've done is due based on our sponsorship. So our sponsors are Reprographic Arts, United Way, NIPSCO, Horizon Bank, HealthLink, LaPorte County Visitors Bureau, Michigan City Police Department, NAACP, African American Empowerment Fund through Unity Foundation, Obligating Company, and General Insurance Services. Then our partnerships are with Essence Rare, the Salvation Army, Indiana Black Expo, and the YMCA. Anybody have any questions? No? Oh, thank you.
There are none. That was our last public comment. I am closing. Oh, okay. Mr. Euler. Mr. Euler, public comment?
Hi there, Council President. This is Dakota Euler. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, good evening.
Hi there. I just wanted to express my concern about the proposed 2025 street repavement project, which I understand will encompass 35 streets. While I applaud the city's commitment to improving our roads, I believe a crucial element is being overlooked: the aging infrastructure beneath those streets. We've witnessed a pattern recently, most notably with the newly paved sidewalk section of Franklin Street. Just a few short weeks after the completion of that project, utility line breaks occurred, which caused excavation and disruption of the fresh pavement. This not only creates an eyesore and inconvenience for residents, but also represents a significant waste of taxpayer dollars. Why invest in a beautiful new road surface only to tear them up again a few weeks later for essential repairs? It's imperative that the city adopt a more holistic and forward-thinking approach to infrastructure improvements. Before any new paving is laid, a thorough assessment of the underlying water lines and sewer systems should be conducted. Replacing or repairing those aging systems in conjunction with the street resurfacing project will ultimately save time, money, and frustration in the long run. Imagine the long-term benefits: smooth, newly paved roads that remain intact for years to come, fewer disruptive construction projects, and a more efficient use of city resources. I urge the city to prioritize a comprehensive infrastructure overhaul alongside its street paving initiatives. Let's invest wisely in our city's future, not just in its outward appearance. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Euler. Public comments are now closed. We will go to council comments. Ms. Mullenhour, Councilwoman.
Thank you, Madam President. I have two announcements to make. This Thursday is Northwest Indiana Green Drinks, 6:30 p.m. via Zoom. The topic this time will be effective environmental advocacy at the State House. We're very fortunate to have the advocacy team of Indiana Conservation Voters as the presenters. If you'd like to attend, please contact M, that's EM, at savedunes.org for the link for that program. I encourage everybody to attend this. This follows a very successful first annual Water Stewardship Day that was held in Indianapolis last Tuesday. So these were the organizers for that event, so it'd be nice to support them in this. Another announcement, on March 1st, Saturday, is Naomi Anderson's birthday, and she's our hometown suffragist. And we will be celebrating Naomi Anderson's birthday on that day. There'll be programming the afternoon at the Michigan City Public Library. Details to be announced, but I've been told that the documentary on her life is finished, and this will be the premiere showing of that documentary. So I really wanted to invite everybody from Michigan City and surrounding areas to be present for that. Again, it's the afternoon of March 1st, a Saturday, and I wish I had the exact time, but I don't. Just look for announcements out of the Michigan City Public Library or on the Celebrating Naomi Anderson Facebook page. Thank you so very much.
Dr. Cora?
I just wanted to make one comment, and that is regarding Mr. Scott Meelan's comments. And we appreciate everything you do. You're very active, and I wish there are more people like you who participate. As soon as we get this technical issue resolved in consultation with the corporate attorney, I'm sure next week, at the next meeting, we'll get this thing resolved. Thank you very much.
Dr. Coulter, Councilman Coulter.
Thank you, Madam President. I just really wanted to thank the Black History Month Committee for their hard work that they've done putting together the calendar of events for this month, and especially for the event that they had last Saturday. The guest speaker, whose name I'm forgetting, but she's the Sister Jane Marie. Sister Jane Marie. Who's the third name? Klein. Thank you so much. Who's the chair of the board of Franciscan. And I want to get that right just because people should look it up. There's a YouTube video out there. She was speaking about how she was there at Dr. King's death, where she was able to be with him while he passed. Absolutely fantastic presentation from a fantastic human being. And again, thank you to the Black History Month Committee for giving us the opportunity to learn about that. Thank you.
If there are no others, I just have a couple of announcements. In regards to the Drug Recovery Unit, there will be a Joint Council workshop scheduled for Wednesday, February 12, 2025 from 5 to 6 p.m. in the EOC room here in City Hall. And the speaker will be Miss Mickey Webb, and it will also be some of their board members will also be in attendance. So I welcome all of you all to come out for that workshop. Also, again, just a reminder that Mayor Angie Nelson Deitch has called a workshop with the Common Council to discuss the wheel tax legislation in the EOC, located here in the lower level of the City Hall. And this is scheduled for March 14, 2025 at 5 p.m., again in the EOC room. Also, it was brought to my attention that Michigan City was in the New York Times in regards to the redevelopment and the site for Indiana State Prison. So for those who have not had the opportunity to read that article, it is a good read. And then lastly, but not least, we have the Anthony Adam House. They are holding, well, first let me just say this, give a little bit about the Anthony Adam House. It's an organization, a fundraiser to assist with ending youth homelessness. Their organization mission is to provide a nurturing, stable, home-like environment for homeless and runaway youth between the ages of 12 and up to 18. They will be having a ceremony Saturday night. During their award ceremonies, they will acknowledge the most influential youth in our region through an award ceremony and dinner. In the winner in the youth 5th through 8th grade and teens 9th through 12th grade category will win a $2,000 scholarship. Other prizes and acknowledgments will be given to as well. You can go to www.aa-house.org to gather additional information, and also event sponsorship forms are available. If there are no further comments by the council, may I entertain a motion to adjourn? Thank you and have a good evening.